Hello, everybody. Patience, I jumped in before you did.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, you can.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Amazing. Hello, everybody, and how are you? Today, we are coming to you on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. And the reason why is because today we wanted to introduce to you the Parents' Timeout this evening. Unfortunately, this has been rescheduled to next week, Wednesday, the 9th of November, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And we will tell you all about this later on when we are around the end of the video, because today we have another topic. So here is my colleague Steve Costello and myself, Patience Modevi. As you know, we are the duo in Wired for Success. And today we want to speak about what parents should communicate to teens, tip 1, which is all about boundaries. So, Steve, what can you say to start us off?
Yeah, boundaries are tricky, aren't they? I remember a situation that involved a young person chatting in a chat room on Facebook in a group, and it was a local community group. So you would have thought that being a local community group and all people geographically close to her, that it would have been quite safe and sound. It turned out that actually there was a person in that group who wasn't safe and sound. But fortunately, nothing terrible happened. So the kids, in a sense, that were in that group did have boundaries because they thought everybody was safe, everybody was okay. So there was no need to put up boundaries, no need to think carefully about who they were talking to. And obviously that didn't prove to be true. So how can we build boundaries? How can we encourage our teens to create these boundaries that keep them safe when we're not there holding hands? And we can't do that all the time. We've got to let go. So how can we keep them safe without going over them? And then we were having this conversation just before we started today. Patience and I, we were talking about uncles and aunties who were not really uncles and aunties. I got loads of those. A few of them have passed away now, which is a shame. But I had lots of aunts and uncles who were not blood aunts and uncles. And mostly, from what I remember, they were pretty cool. They were nice people who I didn't need to protect myself against. But sometimes we do need protection from these so-called aunts and uncles. And that's a little bit sad, isn't it? But still we do. So what can we do? What tips can we give to parents with teens about creating and keeping these boundaries in place? What tips can we give that young people feel as though I'm frightened to join different groups or different situations? So what can we do? It's tricky. It's very complicated. As a psychologist, I work with this quite a lot. But we don't have the time in 10 or 15 minutes to do that right now. So what simple things can we do? Let's start with the idea of asking questions. Always ask questions. It's great to ask questions. Sometimes we get fantastic answers. But if we can ask a question when we feel uncertain, it may well provide us with an answer that enables us to do something. So simply saying, is this person okay? Who is this person? Why should I accept this person as being a safe person? So we've got to think carefully about the type of questions we ask. So what do you think, Patience? I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback of sound. It's quite difficult to keep talking.
I think we can still hear. We've heard everything you said, Steve, and I think the message that you shared with the audience right now if I can re-emphasize, is basically building the muscle of boundaries. So supporting our young people, your young people in schools, in academies, in communities, in social groups, to understand what um, building their muscle around boundaries is going to do and benefit for themselves. So if I can just give a little bit of example, is like when Steve was talking about asking question, I thought that was brilliant. The reason why is because we are not pushing in general as human being. We do not push our children to ask questions. If they ask questions, we stop them. Stop. Why are you asking questions? And the idea here is that we have to encourage this inquisitive side in their behavior. The reason is why when you start to be inquisitive, what happens is that you start to get a little bit like a shift in energy. And I think in a few videos before we talked about energy, you start to feel a little bit of a shift in energy. And when you feel that shift, if a young person has been building and building their muscle around boundaries, they will be able to discern, oh, there might be a problem here, or I'm not feeling comfortable here. And the idea, I think, if I could add to what you were saying, Steve, is that we have to allow, and parents, professional, everybody have to allow people to be uncomfortable. We have to accept that people are uncomfortable, and we need to give them room to really go into that feeling and understand the reason why. That's what I would have said. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really well put, Patience. Brilliant. Yeah, about being uncomfortable. And I was just thinking of a very simple example of communication as well. Somebody says to you, "Don't tell anybody, it's a secret. Let's keep it between you and I." That's a classic. Sometimes that's okay. I've just bought a birthday present for somebody. Don't tell them. It's a secret. Of course it is. It's not their birthday yet. That's fine. So we need to know when something's okay to be kept between ourselves, between, for example, two people, and when it's not okay to be kept between two people.
I love that example, Steve. Brilliant. Brilliant example.
So we need to be okay to talk about what's okay, what's not okay. We need to be okay to have the difficult conversations. That if a young woman is being approached by an older man in a way that makes her feel uncomfortable, she's got to know that she needs to be looked after, that she needs to look after herself. She needs to be able to tell other people what's happening. She needs to be able to communicate what's happening, and most of all, she needs to be able to tell the other that person, "Hey, this isn't appropriate. Boundaries. You're coming into my bubble." Here's a simple exercise. If you imagine that you actually live in a bubble, it's a transparent bubble. It's all around you. It goes a bit above your head, out at the sides, and so on. So you live in a bubble. We all live in a bubble. The bubble is about arm's width apart in diameter. So if you did this with your hands, that's where the bubble is. This sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? So you live in this bubble. The rule is that nobody can come inside and burst your bubble. So if we're going to make that a rule, we have to know how to enforce those rules. We can't just say to everybody, "Hey, stay away, I don't want you to come near me," because that's not good for us. So we need to know when to say those things. And the only way we're going to learn how to say those things is by talking about those things, as I said a few minutes ago. It all goes back to communication. Having these conversations. Patience mentioned a little while ago, we don't want to be saying no to our to our teens all the time. Sometimes we may need to, but we don't want to do it all the time. We want to be saying, yeah, come here, come and talk to me about this. Let's see what we think. How can you protect yourself? It's asking questions again. What can we do to protect you? It's not helpful for me as a parent to say to my current 16-year-old, this is what you're going to do to protect yourself. When she asked to go to the Halloween party a couple of days ago that involved staying overnight at a girlfriend's house, it wouldn't have been helpful for me to say, I don't want you to go there, there might be boys there. I don't want you to go there because I don't know whether you can protect yourself and keep your boundaries up and so on and so forth. So we had a conversation. What sort of things do you think might happen? Who's going to be there? Is there anybody there you don't know too well? So by understanding all of those things, it made her feel good because I was taking an interest. But it also enabled us to think through some of the issues. There have been some issues with members of this group. So we've got to think about having those conversations, not saying simply no. Not simply saying the boundaries need to be this, this, and this. That's not helpful. We need to involve. It's a joint effort. Learning is a joint effort. There's teachers involved in learning, perhaps there's facilitators, and so on and so forth. Nobody wants to say this is how it needs to be because that's not going to help. Patience, I'm talking too much. I've got a sore throat as well, which doesn't help, but you know.
I think we're all going through this at the moment. Some things must be going on. But I think everything you said is just actually is so valid. So for example, like you were saying about communicating, and this is where we are talking about boundaries today. Boundaries is part of communicating because that's how people start to become their own self. That's how they become to understand who they are, how they move into their environment. But as parents, how do you support your teen? How do you support this exchange? If your teen feels free to come and talk to you about anything, don't you think that it's going to bring a little bit more of building that muscle? Whereas if they can't, because you put a little bit much pressure on maybe, for example, respecting the elders, if I can say it that way, or oh, this is your uncle or this is your auntie. However, they are not really uncle and aunties. Or even if you allow too much of freedom for people to enter your space. To be honest with you, sometimes it's not necessarily about what people say. It could also be about how people behave. So if you are, so let's say for me, what is important is that when you are home, it's your safe space at home. When a child comes to school, they should know that they are in a safe environment. So now, how do we make sure that we're not bringing anything in that environment that is going to disturb the peace, if I can say it, in the teenagers' realm? Because you have something that we don't say enough because we don't have enough time with the time we're doing on these lives, is that teenagers are going through a lot in terms of their development, physical, mentally, morally, in terms of everything. Everything is like a huge, can we say it, storm? A huge storm when they are in the teenage time. So now, what we are trying to do with our videos, with our workshops, is that we are trying to bring you skills and also small exercises that you can put in place that helps your teenager to balance themselves and to go through that period of their lives in the safest way. And this is what we wanted to emphasize today. But we have gone past the time. So I'm going to quickly um, tell you. So we have the parents' timeout first in the series workshop on next week on the 9th of November at 7 p.m. UK time. It's gonna be it's gonna be a link will be there. You can book through Eventbrite. We will put all the details out there for you to book. They are already on the Wired for Success page anyway. But what we want you to do is when you get to Eventbrite, if you can just follow, and then like this, you will be able to see all the other events that are coming through. Also, this is a free event. So please make sure to come, register. If you can't be there, you can always rewatch it. But we're going to give you a lot of, not a lot, good, good and precise tips so that you can support communication with your children from now on, going on. And obviously, if you need to get in touch with us, please do so. You can call Steve on 0033 7675 455 455 57. Sorry, let me start again. 0033 7675 45557. And you can contact me on 0044 79525 12060. We are available to help you and to support you. You can also contact us through the page Wired for Success, and we will be happy to see you. Anything else you want to add, Steve?
No, not really, Patience. I think you just about covered all of it. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes. So we will see you next week then. Thank you so much for being with us today. And you take care until next week. Don't forget, join us next week on Tuesday for the live and on Wednesday evening for the workshop. Thank you. Bye-bye.